Hey, listen, I really appreciate only having to wait an hour to get that room service order delivered. But look, I have an issue.
Oh no, sir. What is it?
Well, my baked ziti is cold. In fact, it's nearly frozen.
Well, it's supposed to be that way. Serving it hot costs extra.
Do you live, eat, and sleep the hotel industry? Looking to brush up on your game? You've come to the right place. Welcome to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the show, No Vacancy. Of course, I am Glenn Hausman, your intrepid leader through the world of hospitality, travel, and all of that kind of fun stuff. Oh, I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving last week. I know I did. Guess what I got to do? Nothing. Not a darn thing, and it was absolutely spectacular. I'm used to jet setting all around the country, sometimes around the world, and you know what? I get pretty tired out there, and it was so great to just spend some time with some friends, some time with my family, and even better, well, not better, just in case my wife's listening, all alone. That's right. I spent a whole day doing nothing. I felt like Bruno Mars in that song, I ain't doing anything today, or I swear I'm not going to do anything. All right, not a big Bruno Mars fan. You guys nailed me. Sorry about that, but listen, it was a great holiday, and I'm really looking forward to the following holidays that are coming up. I'm a big fan of the holiday season. Everybody gets so much nicer during the holiday season, and I think here in the United States, after the presidential election we had, I think we could use a little bit of that holiday cheer. So I'm very relieved that we'll be doing it next week. I'm going to be off heading to Vegas. That'll be an exhausting week, so I'll give you a show straight from the world in Las Vegas. But this week's show, I'm here all alone in my office, getting set to move on. I would have loved to have had a counterpart for this first half of the show, but after Thanksgiving week, it was a little bit tougher to get everybody's schedules aligned. So we'll have the regular group of people coming back again starting next week, but this week it's just you and me, and I'm really delighted to be here in your ears right now. Be sure to read my columns twice a week at Hotel Management Magazine, and follow me at Traveling Glenn on Twitter, at Instagram, and you'll get notified when new shows are posted, and a lot of other great industry-related news and fun stories that I think are really relevant and interesting to you. And come on, seriously already? Can we stop it with the not liking the show on iTunes? Go ahead, do it. Drop everything you're doing. I know one of you guys are on a treadmill right now. Run right over to iTunes and give me that link. Be sure to tell your friends, your family, anybody that'll listen. Listen to the No Vacancy podcast. Subscribe now. And we are absolutely delighted to have you participate in this. So before we get to our interview, and this one is going to be a great one. I have the CEO of Americas with Ihg on this week's show, Elie Maalouf, and I really like this guy. He's sweet, kind, compassionate, and I recorded this interview at the Intercontinental Barclay Hotel, which just recently reopened after a massive renovation. They closed for 2 whole years to get this thing done. 2 years. So the hotel looks absolutely spectacular. I happen to have been there when the Japanese Prime Minister was there. He was going to be meeting with Trump, who is the president-elect. Well, not officially, not until the Electoral College votes, but since everyone's calling him that, I'll call him that too. So I got to see the Japanese Prime Minister and all of his folks over there, and I was in the room right next door to them, and funny enough, they all just kept giving me strange glances, like, who are you? What are you up to? Why are you here? Well, I was there to get this great interview that you'll hear immediately afterwards. But what I wanted to do before that is I want to talk to you a little bit about reframing guest interactions, right? Now, I know your hotel staff is great and you are particularly wonderful. And hey, you know, even that recent renovation looks fantastic. But what if I told you that no matter how amazing your hotel may be, that's really not the #1 concern of your guests. Say, what? Or I should say, what you talking about, Willis? You know, I really don't mean to imply that the guests don't love you, but the love that they have for you is secondary, right? It's kind of like how my wife thinks about me. Sure, I'm awesome. I am awesome, right? But the kids will eternally come first. And of course, that's a natural order of the universe. And you know what? It's the same thing in the hotel industry. Outside of select resort hotels, your customer is really only thinking about you once they've made a decision to come to your city, your town, your neighborhood. They're not coming specifically to see your hotel. Sure, the if you have a flag on your building, they like what that flag stands for. They like what it means. They like the security and comfort it brings to them. But nobody is saying, hey, let me go to that hotel in that particular city. They're saying, I need to go to that particular city, and now I'm going to get a hotel, right? So thinking about that specific hotel is actually third on the list, right? It comes after determining, the decision to come to your city, and more focused on being close to where they ultimately need to be. So it's about them choosing their city first, the neighborhood within that city they want to be to, which is in proximity to whatever it is that they have to do, and then you come next. So third on the list. Again, like my marriage, the cat is ahead of me too. It goes kids, cat, Glenn, or maybe kids, cat, lawn guy, then Glenn. Well, maybe mailman is ahead of me too. But, I think you get what I'm talking about. But, so seriously, as an industry, we need to really start thinking about this. And I know my road warrior friends out there, you're nodding your heads. That's right. That's right. That's right. The hoteliers don't really seem to grasp it fully. We spend a lot of time talking about injecting experiences and making hotels better, but we're doing this without the strong realization that no matter how terrific you and your hotel are, it's always going to play second fiddle to the reason why they're in your town. So I'd like you to start thinking a little bit differently like that, right? Why are we so overwhelmingly consumed with only things relevant to the actual stay? I want you now to start thinking about this truism and adapt the stay experience to fit within new norms, right? So here are some ways that I think you could create more meaningful moments from guest interactions that play into this concept of you don't come first. Again, you have a chance to make them love you, and chances are you will because you're really good at what you do. But if you're thinking at it in the wrong prism, you're never going to align your goals with the customer's needs, right? So you need to really think about always coming from a position of authenticity. Connections only work when you really, truly care, because the world sees through fakery. Okay, maybe not in terms of politics, but in terms of the hotel stay, in terms of the way that we interact with each other. You've always been there. You've seen it. You meet somebody for the first time, and you see right through them, and you're like, yeah, I don't think so, buddy. That seems like a whole lot of BS to me, right? Your customers see the same thing too. Another point, practice active listening when you talk to your customers and your colleagues, right? If you're married to a woman, then you already probably practice this thing at home. It's one of the things that I think I had to learn as I was going through my marriage, right? If you're married, then you really need to listen in a way that they can feel that you're listening, right? People respond to those who truly listen to what they have to say. Focus on listening more than you talk, and you'll quickly become known as someone who can be trusted. It creates more positive memories because your guest is going to associate your hotel with those positive feelings and then subconsciously trust your hotel is better than all the others. You've got to make good, strong eye contact with them. Focus. Do not allow stuff going around in the hotel or technology to distract you from that active listening component. It is so absolutely critical to make people feel like they're wanted and appreciated. Also, focus on an ultimate state of positivity, right? You've got to be positive. And I know a lot of you hoteliers are out there, but some days it's a little bit tougher than others, right? But being a positive spirit connects you to others. It's attractive, contagious, and strengthens your relationships with both colleagues and guests. You don't want to be a Debbie Downer. Wah, wah. Nobody wants to be around negative people, right? Positive people can have effect on you just as much as negative people. In fact, now that I'm saying it and the words are coming out of my mouth, I think negative people really can affect the overall mood of a group much, much more than that positive person, right? Think about that time when you're in a group of friends and 5 out of the 6 of you are in great moods. You get that one negative Nelly out there. Yeah, I'm switching it up from Debbie Downer. You caught me. And that person somehow manages to deflate the excitement of the entire group. It's the same kind of thing when it comes to your customers out there, right? You don't want to be negative because it'll create a sense of negativity wrapped around your property. Also, show appreciation. Everybody wants to feel appreciated, especially your guests in the hotel. When we genuinely compliment people around us, it sends out positive energy. You know, I don't want to sound all summer of love on you and stuff like that, but really, it's the most effective way to make a massive impact on your guests. Thank yous. You look great today. It's so nice to see you. Makes the person feel like you're making a difference in their lives and that they are making a difference in your life, which is even more important. Which leads me to the last tip I have today. Pay ridiculous attention. You know, don't do stupid, silly things like talk about the weather. It's simply filler. It's easily digestible, but it's not memorable conversation. Nobody really goes, hey, I just had this great conversation with this guy at the hotel. We talked about how it's 72 degrees and lovely outside. Or, yeah, you know, I talked to that guy at the hotel and, boy, he really had a great perspective on the rain today. It's not going to happen. It's just blather, and it just takes up time and has no actual meaning. Instead, why don't you ask in-depth questions and learn what really matters to your guests? Why aren't hoteliers asking customers enough, and I say this because no one ever asked me this, what brings you to town? Why are you here? What made you select this hotel to stay at? Is there anything that you're going to be doing here that I can give you insight on, that I can help you facilitate with? Those real, genuine, honest connections between people, that's what connects them to you and in turn the property. And that's going to help you win repeat business and get those quality service scores up. And you know it out there, road warriors, you will want to return more often. It's not just about a couple of bottles of water, although giving away free water is always a great thing. It's about genuinely connecting with people on an emotional, human level. So think about that kind of stuff while you're out there exercising, driving in your commute, and all of that kind of good stuff. But now I'm going to end this segment of the show and move right into our amazing discussion with Elie Maalouf, the CEO of Americas with IHG. And let me tell you, what a great conversation we had. Make sure that you send me your notes at glenn@rouse.media or find me on Twitter @travelingglenn. And come on, guys, seriously, get people to like me on iTunes. Pass the show around. Let's make something happen. I hope you enjoyed this part of the show. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Elie Maalouf. Thank you.
Have a question for your host, Glenn? Tweet him now @travelingglenn. No vacancy. The hospitality industry's #1 podcast. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for listening to the No Vacancy podcast with me, Glenn Hausman. You know, you're listening to this right now. That's right, right now. You're listening, but you're not the only one. Many others are too. So my question is, do you want to get noticed? Guess what? I can help you with that. Every single month, my content delivers more than 100,000 impressions. I know. I thought the same thing too. Now it's your time to get you or your product, service, or brand known by leveraging my network. I'll work with you to find creative solutions that are going to get your message to the ears and eyes that you need to attract. Just send me a note at glenn@rouse.media or find me on Twitter @travelingglenn. That's glenn@rouse.media, ROUSE.MEDIA. And while we're at it, Glenn has got 2 N's. Thanks for listening, and now back to more great content. Just like hanging out, getting to talk to you and figure out all of the cool things that are going on in the hospitality industry. And I'm sitting here right now in Midtown, New York at the Intercontinental Hotel Barclay, which just reopened recently after a 2-year closure. And what better way to celebrate that than have Elie Maalouf, the CEO of Americas with Intercontinental Hotels Group. Man, I still can't believe you said you'd talk to me. How lucky am I? Am I dreaming?
No, it's a dream for all of us.
Yeah, nightmare maybe for you guys, but whatever.
To reopen the Barclay after an extensive renovation.
Right.
We spent over $180 million with our partners to bring this great heritage flagship back to its rightful place right here off Park Avenue on 48th Street. We've expanded the room count. We're about 700 rooms. We delivered a drop-dead gorgeous presidential suite that my boss, Richard Solomon, is currently staying in, but that will be worthy of every global leader and elite. And we are completing a phenomenal rooftop suite, penthouse suite, that will have obviously a guest room, but also meeting space with full, views of Manhattan and a deck for celebrations and events.
That's pretty cool.
It's going to be the cool place to have a party here on the east side in Manhattan. I'm looking forward to spending some time with you up there when we get that open.
I hope so. I can't wait to see. It sounds like that'll be a lot of fun, and playing with the whole idea that you have to have a rooftop concept, but having something that's exclusive is something very unusual in a place like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's exclusive in the sense that it's not open to the public, but it's not exclusive in the sense that anybody can book it and reserve it. And
I'm sure if I tried to book it and reserve that room, I'd be paying that credit card bill off till, I don't know, $2,320 maybe?
You don't have to put on your credit card. We'll take cash.
Okay. Excellent. So for all of you guys, I'm accepting donations now here at the podcast. So be sure to send it to me so I can stay in an amazing rooftop suite here at the Barclay. One of the things about the renovation here is the building's from the 1920s, and you had to totally gut the whole thing to bring it up to spec with a lot of things that we're talking about today in regards to technology in particular, right? And you, across the brand, are now unrolling a whole brand new technology profile to get that Wi-Fi up to speed, get people happy. You're calling it Ihg Connect, right? And tell me a little bit about this and why it's going to make my Road Warrior listeners happy people, Elie.
Well, very strong, predictable, reliable connectivity is important. And, frankly, people don't want Wi-Fi for Wi-Fi's sake. And they don't want a signal for signal's sake.
Right.
They want to stay in touch with their businesses. They want to stay in touch with their loved ones. They want to entertain themselves. They want to download the latest clip of something. So it's really not about technology. It's giving people the ability to live their lives the way they want to live them. And now technology happens to be something that they need. So Ihg Connect brings the highest and fastest bandwidth in the industry in a dedicated pipe, not a shared pipe, a dedicated pipe.
That's going to be great around 5:15 p.m. when everybody gets back to the room.
5:15 p.m. or after dinner when the kids are all on Netflix, or in the morning when everybody's downloading their attachments, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And second, it is something that comes at a very affordable cost to all of our owners, because we've managed to negotiate in bulk for the equipment and in bulk for the bandwidth. And third, it is monitored centrally, so things are kept alive and on even without you watching it in the hotel. If a signal goes down or is weaker, it's then adjusted and corrected centrally without you having to monitor it yourself in the hotel. So our people in the hotel can focus on taking care of guests, the things that they do best, to make that connection with our high-value guests in our hotels. And fourth, what I think is really cool about it is that it recognizes you when you come into an Ihg hotel after your first login. So you log in here at the Barclay or at the Holiday Inn Express the first time, and every other time that device, when it shows up at an Ihg hotel of any brand, it's recognized. So now, yes, you have to accept the terms once again for privacy purposes, but you're right in. You have to put in your login and your password and call your son and say, "Hi, what was that password we used for this and that?" And so, we're trying to get you to living your life the way you want to live it more smoothly, more quickly.
And that is absolutely true, hassle-free, because one of the things that frustrate me when I go in and it says enter your rewards number and stuff, and I don't know what my rewards number is. I got 800 of them. I got to open up a document in my computer.
You mean you don't have only just one rewards number with Ihg?
I only have one rewards number in the hotel industry.
Oh, okay, thank you.
But the rest of the business is that it's a big problem. And that is my phone. Sorry about that. I should have turned it off. So yeah, I agree with you. The Wi-Fi is such a critical component, and that is the number one thing that Road Warriors are asking for. And by you delivering it, you're right. We are going to be able to keep in touch with my family. family, with families, unfortunately. My family doesn't want to keep in touch with me when I'm on the road. You hear that, Ben and Jake? Those are my kids, by the way. They never take my phone calls. It's very sad and depressing. And I love watching my Netflix, and that's really what you were saying before. Is it's empowering the customer to do and live and experience in the way that they want to experience the hotel product. But we're also getting very significantly into an era where technology can possibly take over the hotel experience. And one of the things that I speak to a lot of hotel industry leaders, such as yourself, about is how do you make sure that we have that human connection going forward when we're in a techno-fueled society. So, simply put, how do you make sure that you can not allow technology to take over and keep a human face to the brands? Because I think that is really where we connect with a hotel brand.
Well, in fact, you won't find us carrying on about robots. You won't find us carrying on about tracking you throughout your stay. You won't find us carrying on about the purely and solely digital experience. That's not what we are. Mm-hmm. Our purpose as Intercontinental Hotels Group is to bring true hospitality to the world. And every word of that statement really matters. We're in hospitality, not in just accommodation.
Right.
In apartments. We're not in shared rentals. We're not in, campsites. We're in hospitality. We're in true hospitality, which means brands that really connect people. Brands where people are taking care of people. If technology is helpful to allow our guests to live the way they want, if it's helpful to allow our colleagues to have more time to take care of our guests, that's great. But our purpose is not to give you the most digitally connected experience. Our purpose is to bring you true hospitality and connect you digitally when and how you want to be. And so let's come back to the Barclay for a moment. We talked about Ihg Connect, but that is actually one factor, not the biggest factor of what we're bringing here. We redesigned these guest rooms in a Upper East Side, New York style, reminiscent of the past, but sensitive to the present. We built grandiose ballrooms on the second level that did not exist, so we could bring forward meetings and weddings and events and charities and governments in spaces that we did not have before, that are today gathering some of the nicest and funnest events in New York. We built a gin bar and restaurant downstairs that is buzzing every night with people sharing drinks, including the tonic that we create ourselves over here. Ooh. And the special dishes of Chef Willis with the latest organic and locally produced products. That's the life that we're creating in hotels, at Intercontinental Hotels. And there is a digital experience where and when you need it.
Right. That makes a lot of sense to me. It's using the digital elements as a backdrop for facilitating those strong relationships and those meaningful connections with your guests, with the road warriors, and with each other. I think from the guest point of view, I want technology to enable me, but I also want to feel confident that the people are going to be there to help guide my way, right? And one of the things that I've had trouble with, generally speaking, when I'm at smaller hotels around the country, is that sometimes they don't get that particular essence. Here in New York, not so much. Everybody gets it. They all know. They all have their favorite places that they want to put you to. But in smaller communities, in the secondary and tertiary markets, that's not always the case. And I'm hoping that if you guys are listening to this right now, you find ways to better connect with your guests and don't fall into the trap of letting technology take over. Because as you just said, that's a danger zone.
No, well, it's not what our guests want.
Right.
And frankly, it's not what our colleagues want. Mm-hmm. The hundreds of thousands of colleagues that work in our hotels get into this business because they are people.
Yep.
They aren't coders. Yeah. they are people who like to make people's days better, who likes to make people's lives better, who like to connect with people, who wake up with a smile and go to sleep with a smile, want to share that smile. And but they're also modern people who have their devices, who stay connected, who share things. And one of the biggest people aspects of technology is your ability not to do things by yourself. It's actually to share things. So yeah, you can take pictures more quickly and share them. And you can take instant videos and share them, whether it's on Facebook or Snapchat or Instagram. And we see enormous growth in those channels. And so we want to give you the connectivity so you can do that because you're having such a great time at one of our hotels that you want to tell people about it. But if we don't give you the connectivity to do it, you can't share that experience. So it's really the bringing together the human experience and giving the technology to share it with your loved ones and your friends.
That's really a terrific way to put it. And as a guy that focuses on social media a lot, that's the kind of thing that I'm looking for, to be able to tell my stories, share my experience in a quick, effortless type of manner, and I love that you guys are delivering that. Another thing I happen to like a lot, and I've said it before on the show, so I'm not just sucking up to you, although there will be other opportunities during this interview for me to suck up to you. This is not...
it won't get you into the penthouse suite, Glazar.
But I'm unabashedly in love with the Even brand. I think that's really smart, thoughtful, intelligently designed brand that's more healthful but doesn't smack you over the head with being healthy. I was in Omaha, Nebraska. I had the fortunate opportunity to deliver a keynote speech at a hotel event that was going on there, and Adam Glickman, who runs the brand, saw that I was in Omaha and said, come on down to the Even, and he set me up on a tour of this brand new hotel. And I really find it amazing how far it is coming, how it's developed over time, and how you really seem to be tuned in to a very specific lifestyle consumer that's interested in health and well-being, but isn't one of those people that you would classically think is going to the gym all the time, right?
That's right. And, we obviously don't look like people who go to the gym all the time.
Right.
As you can...
I don't think I've ever been to the gym if you take a look at me.
So, when we start thinking about our brands at IHG, we think of having brands that are very sharply defined for the needs of our consumers, not just catch-all places where anybody can go stay. We want people to stay there, but we're creating a brand that means something to a set of people. And Even, we wanted to target to provide an answer to the wellness-minded traveler, people that want to preserve wellness, continue their wellness lifestyle, or maybe also their wellness thinking lifestyle, even when they don't practice it, when they're away from home. And that's what Even set out to do, and it's accomplished it quite well. The guest reviews that we get are beyond satisfied. They're just enthusiastic. They're hysterically passionate about how this hotel resonated with them. This experience resonated with them, and they want to know where are there more. So I'm happy that we're opening in Omaha. I'm happy that we're under construction in Seattle, under construction now in Miami. We opened in Brooklyn earlier this year. I think this week or next week we're opening here on 44th Street on the east side, our second hotel in Manhattan, our one on 35th Street that opened last year is doing great. So, and by the way, just a couple of months ago, we announced a new agreement to develop Even in Australia, New Zealand, 10 to 15 Evens in Australia, New Zealand, which is a similar market to the United States, a wellness-minded market, and we had an owner who came and stayed here in Manhattan on 35th Street, and it just totally resonated with him, and he goes, I got to have it down there too. So it resonates with guests, resonates with owners. We're excited about its growth, and we're just delighted that it matters to people.
I mean, it really, the one in Omaha in particular, and I use that as a model for you going forward, because I feel like the ones that you initially opened in existing buildings, you didn't have the flexibility to play as well as you did with this one. It's really like a full-scale gym. And the executive that was on site that gave me the tour, I'm like, are you going to open this up to the community? Because it really is like an LA Fitness, one of the other major facilities that are out there.
The gyms are first rate. We don't call them gyms; they're athletic studios,
right. That's
because
a better name.
Because they're curated.
I guess that's why you're CEO and I'm just a podcast boy.
Where we've curated, our marketing people came up with it. But there is actually more substance to that than label, because it's done in a way where you notice there isn't one brand of equipment where we just got a great price for it, so we bring you good equipment, but it's all one brand. Actually, it comes from multiple brands because we wanted the best treadmill, the best elliptical, the best weight machines, the best exercise machines and rowers for the people that are really serious about health. without being, gym jocks either.
Yes,
It's
right.
also peaceful, relaxing, but it's in the ethos of the entire operation. Our general manager goes out jogging with the staff and with the guests at 6 a.m. in the morning. You don't have to get up. There's not there's not a reveille at
Chief
6 a.m.
Wellness Officer,
Our
I
chief,
believe they're called, right?
But there's not like an alarm that goes off at 6. You got to rush out of bed and run down like in the barracks. But if you want to, but then the breakfast and the meals are, while healthful, they're also delicious. It's not a clinic. I mean, you can get a great breakfast, and believe me, I'm intent on great food, and I can find it there. My sister stayed there. I had her stay here in New York at Even a few months ago when she's coming up to New York, and she could only afford so much. She wasn't going to book at $600 a night, but she wanted a stay that really was comfortable for her, and she's into wellness. Her comment after that was, I'm coming back, and can I get those videos that you have in the room, those exercise videos? They were so helpful, because for so many people, they like the gym, but sometimes they want the privacy and the comfort of exercising in their own room.
And let me clear up what he's saying right there. Every single room has space in it for you to do your own personalized workout, either something that you want to do on your own or through a help of 20 plus videos that are on there that really take you through all of the different
And an
steps.
ergonomic pulley system
Yeah.
and a yoga mat, all in a New York size room, by the way.
Yeah, which is absolutely stunning that you could fit it all in there. But hey, that's what great designers are for. One of the things that I've been most excited for this company about in the last couple of years was your acquisition of Kimpton, and then your decision to keep it almost over here, a little bit separate from everybody else. What have you learned from the experience of bringing Kimpton on board, and how's it going?
It's going very well. I wouldn't say we've learned, and we've confirmed that Kimpton is an extraordinary brand that's developed over 30 years, that has a very strong following with guests, with owners, that is in great demand by guests and owners. We knew that when we acquired it, and we've confirmed it since we acquired it. And that great demand has exhibited itself in continued revenue growth and guest visits, and in a very strong pipeline of new hotel signings and new hotel openings, which continue and are actually expanding to areas that Kimpton was not accessing before. So we actually have a strong pipeline of resort opportunities. We opened this week or last week our first hotel in the Grand Cayman,
Really?
The Seafire, a beautiful hotel, which has led to more interest in Caribbean and resort hotels, where I think Kimpton is just perfectly suited. It's led to signings in Amsterdam and in Paris, which was part of our plan to lead to international growth. It's led to a strong pipeline of new developments in other resorts on the mainland United States, and a continued interest in urban air. So that's all been confirmed. We have been working very closely with Kimpton. Kimpton is part of ISG. There are some things we work much more closely on, so you can call them integrated. There's some things where Kimpton continues to do what they used to do fabulously, which is design the restaurant and bar, design the guest room, run the operation, recruit and train the people. But then we work very closely on other areas. So there is no one template for integrating an acquisition. There is the design that every organization creates for itself for creating the greatest shareholder value. And we entered this with that plan, and that's the plan that we're executing. It may not resemble a plan that others would have envisioned for themselves, but it is a plan that we put together for ourselves.
Right. So what are some of the things that your guests really love about the Kimpton properties, and maybe how does that philosophy overflow into brands like Indigo, which is I think very much coming from the same spirit of what Kimpton is, but just in a higher price point?
Well, there are meaningful differences between Kimpton and Indigo, because we're very focused on having our brands have distinct personalities.
Right, exactly. But it's kind of like I see, for me, an Indigo as a boutique hotel for a lower budget, maybe a beginner, and then Kimpton as a little bit more aspirational for certain types of travelers.
The way we look at it is not just by price point.
Right.
We look at it by
Experience.
type of experience, by type of stay. So Kimpton is boutique, bespoke in every location. Every hotel is different. Every hotel looks for its own inspiration, for its own design. It's always going to be strongly inspired by restaurant and bar, full service restaurant and bar, 3 meals a day, restaurants and bars that are competing in their own neighborhoods and drawing most of their business from there. And so that is different from Indigo, which is a branded boutique, the first and biggest branded boutique brand in the world, which is neighborhood focused, but it's always called Indigo, always with a similar design inspiration, while localized and a engaging, fun, but not street side restaurant and bar. It's a restaurant bar that is serving those hotel guests, not intended to be a locally competitive restaurant bar. So there's a clear difference in their positioning, and that's how we're continuing to develop both brands.
Right. I see the overlap that I see with the Indigo is more in like the freedom with the design aesthetic, to have that more localized feel, to get away from the branded feel. To me, Indigo is a gateway and an access to the local community as much as Kimpton is. That's where I see the
There are similarities, and I think you'll find similarities across many of our brands. The question is, we keep that overlap to a point where we're not changing the essence and personality of each brand. Indigo's having a really successful run. We are having record signings in the United States, especially since the opening of our Lower East Side Indigo here in New York. We're opening in the first quarter of next year our 350-room Indigo in LA, which is going to be another tentpole project. And in between, we've opened in downtown Atlanta, beautifully new designed Indigo with Portman. We opened in Savannah, a beautifully new designed, brand new build Indigo. And so the momentum behind the brand is very strong. Frankly, the momentum behind all of our brands, and especially those two, Kimpton and Indigo, is very strong. And while there is overlap in personality in some area, they're really not competing each other for locations.
Agreed. I think that they could probably be on the same block, and it wouldn't really be an issue between those two particular brands. But the one thing, and here comes the sucking up to you part that I really like, is you absolutely do have very, very strong, distinct brands, and not all the other major hotel companies can say that. I know by hearing the name of it exactly what it is, and I don't get confused by hearing another brand within the category not knowing where they fit in my spectrum of places that I would want to stay and how I would stay within them.
Well, we try hard at that, and I think we want our people, our guests, our owners to understand what brand they've invested in, what brand they're visiting in, which doesn't mean that we are limited to the 12 brands we have today at IHG. We didn't always have 12 brands. We may have more brands in the future, but whatever we have, we're going to curate to a distinct personality.
Yeah, now one thing we haven't talked about, which is to me very exciting about where you are in the company, is we haven't even gotten to Holiday Inn Express yet. So you guys seem to be expanding pretty rapidly with that. You have a really nice construction pipeline and renovation pipeline. What are some of the places that you're thinking now of expanding perhaps that brand and some of the others into new regions that might not be familiar to the IHG family of products?
Well, starting with Holiday Inn Express, it's in its 25th year. In fact, this is its 25th year anniversary this year. It's already the biggest brand in the world with the biggest pipeline in the world. And last year we launched a complete new redesign for Holiday Inn Express called Formula Blue. This design is reaching scale this year with over 440 hotels by the end of this year open and in pipeline. Wow. The new hotels are performing extraordinarily well, and that's going to continue to scale over the years. Likewise with Holiday Inn, which is one of the biggest brands in the world, still growing very rapidly, highest name recognition of any hotel brand in the world.
Absolutely.
New open space design called the Open Lobby, new room design called the H4, starting to roll that out next year, hoping to have over 100 open in pipeline by the end of next year. So our heritage brands are just continuing on a roll, and that's really at the heart of our company. Likewise, our success in Holiday and Club Vacations, our timeshare business, we have more than doubled that business in the last 3 years.
Wow,
and
more than doubled in the last 3 years.
More than doubled the number of resorts in the last 3 years in Holiday Inn resorts. And
are you affiliating with existing resorts and constructing new resorts?
Well, we are affiliated with Orange Lake, which are are really owned by the Wilson family, which were the originators of Holiday Inn. They're the developers. We license the brand. They operate and develop. And so Holiday Inn Club Vacations is over 25, about 25 resorts in the United States, starting from that one iconic resort in Orlando. And it's all branded under one brand, Holiday Inn Club Vacations. It's part of our IHG Rewards Club loyalty plan. It's part of our hospitality set of brands, and you can travel across our system from our hotel stay brands to our timeshare brand, and it's continued to grow very successfully.
You mentioned rewards programs. What is it the guests really want out of a rewards program these days?
At the most strategic level, our guests want membership.
Right.
And by membership, I don't mean like a membership number and a card. Membership in the broader sense of feeling and being members of something that matters,
right.
Something that delivers recognition,
sense of being an insider.
Value, sense of being an insider, but an insider with value,
right.
An insider with perspective, an insider with the recognition, an insider with a way to personalize your stay, but also to have a way of anticipating it, of feeling trusted, but also taken care of. And so that membership is bringing you value. And that is, if we look at a broader sense, what a true loyalty plan, an enduring competitive loyalty plan needs to continue to deliver, like IHG Rewards Club, beyond just points. Everybody understands the transactional, quantitative aspect of that.
Right.
I stay, I get points, I redeem, I give my points to friends and relatives, and everybody can do that math. Beyond that, what people truly value, beyond the points. And we have members,
right.
Many millions of members. By the way, we're close to 100 million members in our plan already, the biggest in the world. But many members that I speak with personally don't really even follow their points, don't track their points. They're looking for membership. And the more that we are adding membership value to our plan, the stronger IHG Rewards Club is. This year we added Your Rate, which is a special discount just for IHG Rewards Club members. We were the first to launch this in Europe last year. We brought it to the United States and then globally, except for China. So far in over 4,500 hotels. It's a sense of you are special because you're an IHG Rewards Club.
Excellent. Now, I could ask you a ton of questions on this particular topic, but we're starting to run down on time, and I think that the listeners would find more valuable to learn from you. What's it take, man, to get to be a CEO? I mean, there's a lot of folks out there that want to get all the way up that corporate ladder. What are some of the tips that you could distill that people could really maximize their career and be the best professional that they could possibly be?
Well, I mean, first of all, it takes quite a bit of luck, Glenn. I was fortunate to be born to two wonderful parents who invested all their care, love, and time into their children. And so that's fortunate. I had nothing to do with that. It might have been their misfortune. It was definitely my fortune. And so I got a great start. May not have been a great financial start. It was much greater than that. It was a start of values, a start of support, a start that builds confidence and education. That's the one thing they gave us, which is invaluable. Second, I was fortunate also to be oriented towards the United States. Although I didn't grow up here. I was born, didn't grow up here.
You grew up in Lebanon?
Grew up part in Lebanon, part in North Africa, mostly in Italy.
Really?
But my father studied here. Given that the conditions in Lebanon did not encourage us to return at the time, he oriented us to come here for university. So, I could have gotten a bad steer, but I got a steer to come to the United States, which is still and continues to be one of the few places in the world where if you work hard and follow the rules, you can get somewhere. You don't necessarily have a guarantee of getting somewhere,
right,
but you have the opportunity to get somewhere. And so that I got a great start and a lot of luck. Some great mentors and leaders who showed me a better way to do something versus a worse way to do something. You can learn good habits or bad habits.
Right.
Maybe I was clever enough to just pick up on those and not ignore them.
Well, yeah, I think too many people get caught up with criticism as being a negative thing, when a lot of times if somebody is giving you a critique, it's really meant, if you internalize it, it can really improve your life greatly. And while it's hard to hear bad things about ourselves, I think that's really what defines somebody. If they could take that in, incorporate change into their life, and continue to move forward, I think that helps them be more successful too.
Absolutely. It takes a level of trust between people to provide criticism and points of view that are helpful to others. So as leaders, one of the most important things we have to do is first build that trust with our colleagues, with our management teams, which gives us the currency, which gives us the credibility to then point out things that they can improve on. If the first thing you say to somebody is how they could have done better at something, it probably won't sink in as well or at all. If that comes after you're helping support them and they trust that you're doing that in their best interest versus trying to undermine them, it goes further. I was fortunate to have people that I trusted who then said, okay, now that I've told you this, now stop doing that.
Right.
and I kind of listened to them because I trusted them, because I believed that they had my interest at mind. And then I think I can't underestimate the fact that I was fortunate to work in a few organizations with great values, in good industries. I could have made some bad choices there. Maybe I had some perception there, but much of it was also fortune. So I think it really is the combination of some fortune and some judgment that you build along the way to say, yeah, that's a better choice than this. If I ended up in the industries that don't exist anymore today, I wouldn't be as fortunate as being in an industry like hospitality that continues to grow, that has global appeal, that people deeply care about, that I think has a brilliant future to come.
Great. That's absolutely perfect. Any final words from you, sir?
Thank you, Glenn, for taking time with us today, for allowing us to tell our story about Intercontinental Hotels Group, about our brands, about our guests, about our connections with people, about the true hospitality we bring. Always look forward to speaking to you.
Great. Thank you so much. And really thank you for taking time out of your busy day to speak with me. I much appreciate it. And I want to thank everybody for listening once again. So tune in every single week for No Vacancy Podcast. And I'll be back next week. That is, unless I get caught up here at the Barclays Gin Bar and make my own tonic. And that'll be my new life. See you guys next week.
Thanks so much for listening to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman, online at rouse.media, on Twitter at Traveling Glenn, and on Facebook.com/Glenn.Hausman. We'll catch you next time.